What's up, everybody? So today we're going to be doing a real quick video, and I'm just going to share with you all of my bookmarks that I use on a regular basis specifically for dropshipping. Keeping in mind this is selling on eBay using Walmart and Amazon as a source and using cashback. So that's going to help understand which items here I use a lot, and I'm just going to go through this list and explain the circumstances that I use it. Remember, with bookmarks, it's important that you bookmark the links that you're clicking on frequently on a regular basis, because those are the ones that are going to save you time. If there's something that you click on like once a week, there's not really much point in having it as a bookmark, so it's just going to clutter it and it's going to get in the way. You want to make sure that you're using bookmarks and you're in the habit of it for anything that you check on like a daily routine basis. You want to be able to just, instead of having to navigate to a website, find a sub menu there, find another link and find another one. You just want to be able to click one button, right? And in eBay in particular, that's really useful, which is why you can see that half of my bookmarks are eBay bookmarks. So let's go over which eBay bookmarks we have. So the one that I use the most is absolutely going to be the orders tab. This is kind of where I start my work nowadays, because I now have Ale, who handles all of my customer messaging and stuff. So I just place orders, pretty much. Orders and deal with cases and any kind of exception. So if we go to the orders tab, you can see actually, I can't show you that because it has addresses and I don't want to edit the video. But that just shows all of the orders on eBay that are awaiting shipment. So these are orders that have been placed and they've been paid for, and now you need to place them and upload a tracking number, right? So that's the most used one. And then after that, we'll also use listings. Listings is all of your active listings. So if we go here and we click on listings, it's going to load our store up. And then from here, we're going to be able to pick any of our active listings. So what I do most of the time with this is there's a specific listing that I'm getting rid of. So I have an item ID. So I change item ID here, equal to here, and then I search it, and then I click select all, actions, and then end. And that's how I delete listings, right? So I just have to find the ID in order to do that. And that's most of what I use the active listings page for. But you would use this anytime, like if you're trying to figure out how many items you sell are rugs, or you're trying to find a specific word in all of your titles. Anytime you're trying to work with your existing listings, your current active posted items, then this is the tab that you're going to use. So this is another tab that gets used quite often. Okay, so now we've done listings and orders. So then messages is obviously another one that would be used quite often. I used to start my day off by clicking on the messages tab and then going through and opening everything up. But again, now there's a virtual assistant doing all that, so I don't have to worry about it. Now, one thing I do use more than I used to is the sent messages tab. Because we now have two people like working and communicating on this account, it's sometimes necessary to look at the sent messages section and then to do a search for the buyer's name, because that will allow you to quickly see what was most recently communicated to the buyer, which is going to enable you to make a better decision, considering there's multiple people communicating here, and it's possible that you're picking up something, you're picking up a task that somebody else has already communicated something about. So in a scenario where something looks weird or you don't know what's going on, it's really useful to just look at the sent messages and then see what was last said to this person, because then you can use that and then you understand, all right, Ali said this, Jack said this, whatever, this is what we need to do next, okay? So sent messages is something that's particularly useful when you have multiple people managing your account, all right? Next, we have eBay cases. So this is pretty standard. Anytime somebody opens an item not received case, it's going to show up in this section. Also, if I have an unpaid item case open against somebody. So in this section, we will see cases against other people and also cases against me. The only thing I care about is item not received cases, which I close with a full refund, and it's groovy. You can get as many item not received cases as you want, as long as you close them with a refund, and they're closed without eBay having to get involved. It's not something that you have to worry about too much, right? So it's good to have that there just to quickly be able to look at your cases instead of having to go to eBay, then go to selling, then go to cases. Just saves you some time, right? Next, we're going to go to our unpaid orders. So this is something that normally I don't have to interact with, because the way the unpaid things work is that somebody commits to buy the item, and then they don't pay it for it, and they haven't paid for it within 48 hours, so I have it set up to open an unpaid item case automatically. Once that case is open, if they fail to pay within like 4 or 5 days, then I get all my final value fees credited back to me. And at this point, I haven't had to do anything in that scenario. The only time that I have to do something with an unpaid item is when a customer messages me and they're like, hey, I bought this by mistake, I have no intention to pay, yada yada. And I can't cancel it at that point because the case is open. But what I can do is turn the unpaid item assistant off. And what this is going to do is prevent the customer from receiving these reminders to pay for the item over and over and over again, which is important if they've expressed that they have no interest in purchasing the item. Then you making sure that they're not getting those reminders is going to help them feel like, okay, it's not a problem anymore. The seller knows they're not pushing me to do this, yada, yada, right? So you would go to the unpaid orders section to turn off the unpaid item assistant for the specific order that the customer is requesting a cancellation. All right. So the next tab that we use a lot in this situation is Gmail. I used to spend a lot of time looking through my sources order history and trying to find orders. I haven't looked at my order history on Walmart in almost a year. And that's because I learned that instead of doing that, what you can do is just search for the buyer's full name in your email account. And this is going to pull up the PayPal transaction ID. It's going to pull up the message from eBay saying that it's sold. It's going to pull up any shipment notifications to that address. And it's going to pull up messages sometimes. So it pulls up most of the information available about that individual order. And the really cool thing here is, one, you don't have to, this still works even if you have one item that's reselling over and over again, right? Because if you have like an item that's selling 5 or 6 times a day, you can't look for the item's title because you're going to find all of those different orders. So you have to use the buyer's full name in order to find that specific order. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a problem when you have repeat customers because multiple orders are going to pull up, but considering we're drop shipping and things are more expensive than other places in general, we don't get too many repeat customers. So for me, this isn't a problem too much. And when it is, it's normally like a 2 or 3 repeat customer. And it's pretty easy for me to look at the dates and tell which email I need to look at to pull information from. So again, this is something that I do a lot, and that's go into Gmail and then type either the buyer's username to get their full name or their address or whatever. And that is the quickest way because you can just Gmail, paste, info. You don't have to browse through anything. You don't have to go through like, all right, how old was this order? This was like 40 orders ago. Okay, I got to go through these pages, get distracted by all this stuff. You don't have to deal with any of that. All right. So then we have our cashback tabs. And the 2 cashback tabs that I use at the moment are Top Cashback and uPromise. I stopped using uPromise for a while, but that's only because I was in Nicaragua, and uPromise only provides you with the ability to receive a check. You can't get a PayPal transaction for the earned cashback like you can with Top Cashback. And so I was using Top Cashback a lot when I was in Nicaragua. I do use Giving Assistance sometimes, but now that I'm back in the States, uPromise is always 5%, and you get it back even faster than other cashback services. So in general, uPromise is the best if you're still able to use them. Sometimes if you get too much cashback from them, they're going to be like, they'll get picky. But if that hasn't happened yet, it's a great option. Giving Assistance nice though because it has automated payouts and they happen every week. So with Top Cashback and uPromise, you have to like claim your payout and then cash it out. Whereas with uPromise, everything that's eligible over each weekly period gets sent out. But that doesn't mean that you get your cashback from Giving Assistant within a week. It still takes 90 days for you to be eligible to get your cashback. It just means that instead of paying out monthly like uPromise does, Giving Assistant pays out weekly. So it's just a little bit more regular, but ultimately you still get your money way sooner with uPromise, even though they pay out monthly. And that, I think, is because Walmart classifies uPromise differently than the other cashback websites. I believe this is because Walmart can claim that the money that they're sending to uPromise is to benefit education. And so because of that, it's a little bit different than just straight up commercial cashback, because for some reason, uPromise transactions show up after about 30 days. You can cash them out, which is even shorter than the return period for items, right? And on most other cashback services, it takes 90 to 110 days before you can cash your cashback out. So 30 days is huge, and I still don't understand why exactly uPromise, one, has a 5% standard cashback rate, which is really high, and two, they cash out really quickly. And again, my hunch tells me that it's because uPromise is in the name of education. That's the tricky thing about it, though. Like, it very much makes it seem like it's only for education, but the reality is you can use cashback with them and then get a direct check sent to your house. So it doesn't necessarily have to be. And it's kind of misleading that Walmart treats it differently, but it is what it is. So yeah, I have cashback links for uPromise and for Top Cashback. So when I'm placing my orders, I'll just open one of these links, and then I'll also open a new tab and search for the item name on Google, because this will pull up the item if it's available on Amazon. And if it's available on Amazon, then it's probably going to be $6 cheaper, and it's going to ship a little bit faster, and it's less likely to have problems. So if I can source things from Amazon, I'm always going to. But I don't need a bookmark for Amazon, because I can just paste the title into Google, and then if there is an Amazon item, it's going to show up like as one of the first search results. So I don't need to go to Amazon to search for it. It's actually better to just search for Google, because then if it's available on another source, it's going to show up there, right? And this works much better, again, because I don't optimize my titles. So all of the titles that I use are the raw titles from Walmart. And this means that they're more likely to be the raw title from the manufacturer. So when I search for these titles, it's really easy to find them, right? So next we're going to go to our promoted listings tab. And this bookmark isn't really that useful, to be honest, because if you're doing promoted listings right, you don't really interact with them too much. You set up the campaigns, and then that's pretty much all you do, right? You might go to this dashboard here to monitor how things are going, right? So here we have like 9 to 6, 7 sales a day from promoted listings. It fluctuates a lot, but you can monitor everything, and you can also make the new campaigns here. So that's something that's important to be aware of. Nowadays, if you're using eBay, you really should understand how promoted listings work. Regardless to what kind of business you operate, you should be doing a minimum of a 1%. A campaign that has a 1% increase in final value fees if eBay sells the item for you. It's really important that you have some form of promoted listings. It is going to help increase your sales, whether you're just doing auctions or like traditional eBay selling or whatever you're doing, right? Okay, so now we've covered that, and we just have a little bit left. Yeah, we're pretty much done. So the only other bookmarks I have are going to PayPal cases. And this is because people can open cases against you on eBay, or they can open cases against you on PayPal. Technically, they can do both, even though they're not supposed to. So it's important to also monitor your PayPal cases for item not received cases, all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of cases people can open against you on PayPal. And the trick with PayPal is that like it's no longer married to eBay, so they don't communicate as much. And like there's certain situations where an eBay buyer, too much time has passed and they cannot open a case against you on eBay. And if they know what they're doing, they can just open the case on PayPal because there's a longer window of time. But most buyers don't realize that. But you may notice sometimes that you get PayPal cases opened against you, and they're for items that are old, like something you sold like 60 days ago, right? Whereas on eBay, that doesn't really happen as much. Most of the time a case is opened, it's because if there is an old case, it's because the item wasn't received or whatever, right? But you're not going to find that like people take 60 days to claim that their item didn't show up. Whereas with PayPal, that does happen sometimes. Next, we have the Walmart chat. And this is something that I probably should actually have higher up in the list because it's used much more frequently. I don't call Walmart ever because talking to them on the phone is really frustrating. Typically, the people's English isn't so great. It's all outsourced call centers, and I find that it's so much more time consuming for me to communicate with them over the phone that it ends up being much, much better for me to deal with it over chat, because all I have to do is start the chat bubble, provide my billing address, and then provide the problem and all of the necessary information for the rep to fix it. And then the rep can be fixing it while I'm like placing my orders. So what I'll usually do is I'll open this window up in another tab, and then I'll fill everything out so that I'm waiting for the rep to respond. And then I'm placing orders, and every time the rep sends a message, then I just tab back and then give them what they need so that they can do their work. And this works better, much, much better with the existing workflow. And it allows you to be more efficient. And ultimately, even if you have to deal with customer chat for 20-30 minutes, you can kind of blend that into 30 or 40 minutes of other work that you're doing, and it ends up not taking that much additional time. Whereas if you are on the phone, yeah, you absolutely can be placing orders while you're on the phone, but you have to be talking to the person. There's more miscommunication. There's times where the calls drop or the quality isn't really good. It's just much, much smoother to use the instant messaging service, and it's much more efficient, and there's nothing that the phone people can't do or can do that the message people can't. It's the same. It's just a different way to communicate. And in this situation, it really is better to use written words. It's just easier. It's faster. It's more efficient. Okay, so at this point, we have shared all of the most common bookmarks that I use for my eBay dropshipping experience from Walmart. If there's any bookmarks that you use on a regular basis, please comment below. Let me know. Discuss about this. Again, the thing with bookmarks is to identify the places that you go on a regular, recurring, repeat basis, especially if you have to go to a website and then click on a part of that website and then find a menu somewhere in that part. Anytime you have like 3 or 4 different clicks to go to different parts of a website, that's a really good indication that you could use a bookmark to get there, right? We can illustrate this concept by just looking, okay, I click on Walmart chat, right? That takes me to the Walmart chat page. If I didn't have this bookmark, normally what I would do is I would go to walmart.com, and then I wait for it to load. And then I'd scroll all the way down to the bottom. And then here I would find Contact Us. And I'd click Contact Us. And then I'd click on Walmart.com. Right? And at this point, we've clicked like 3 or 4 times. When I could have just clicked this button, and while the web page is loading, I'm doing something else. And then by the time I come back here, it's fully loaded and ready to go. So using these bookmarks really is a great way to make more efficient use of your time and to speed things up. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a great one. Ciao.